and dropping jewels are very personable. It wasn't the typical message that deliver to kids, like save your money, stay in school, do your homework. He was like, hey, yeah, you might have to shoot somebody, so learn how to use this gun. It was more street knowledge that he was trying to pass down.
It's very on brand.
Like, at least he's consistent. But there are realities of being young, black, and rich that he was trying to impart on his kids, and them being the potential target for evil in the world. So
let me put you on game.
We will be moving into our next topic. We'll be moving into the music segment of our show. And we will be talking about Young Thug. If you're not familiar with Thugger, he is a rapper out of Atlanta. He has a huge, massive influence on the way that much of trap music sounds today. I was surprised to see that this new album that we're going to discuss, Punk, is only his second studio album. He has like 19 official mixtapes, and some of them look like albums, but this is his second, and So Much Fun was his first. So yeah, it's interesting how discographies work now. But let's get into his new album. How are you feeling about Punk overall?
So overall, I think Young Thug had a really interesting take on what punk was for this project and his definition of punk. I think it was more of a half punk, half melodic rap album, but it had a lot of great features and performances. I really appreciated his experimentation with a different sound, but he didn't go as all out as I expected him to, given the title of the album. And the down some moments without like a clear sense of artistic consistency, but nothing was awful, particularly. And I think that there are a lot of memorable performances from Thugger, as well as his ensemble of rap features, with something for everyone. So it was a really fascinating and fun listen for me. How about you?
Yeah, I disagree. I don't. This isn't for me. I think that there are a lot of things to like on the album. I like his use of a lot of live instrumentation, or at least live instruments, whether they're sampled or not. But I think some sections of the album just kind of bleed together for me. I think that there's a lot of like close but no cigars on the album itself. It's not really risky enough, and it doesn't really do it for me instrumentally, or necessarily what Thug is doing as like a lyricist. But to get into like the track list, yeah, it starts with Die Slow. I like the slow guitar, and I like how vulnerable Thug is on the track. I thought that was a really good open leading into Stressed. I like that track. I like the energy from Cole and from T Shine. I thought it was a really interesting track about the pressures of fame and what people that are famous go through, and what the people around them also go through. Stupid / Asking. I feel like I'm not supposed to like that song, but I actually do. I think it's really catchy. It's a interesting beat switch, and I think that's kind of where the album starts to like get a little iffy for me. I like the first three, but with Recognize Real, I wasn't really sure if acoustic guitar at that point was the theme of the album, but it felt a little repetitive there. And then that kind of goes into Contagious, which I thought was a nice change of pace in terms of the instrumental. I like Thug's flow, but yeah, this is kind of where the album starts to get a little uneven for me. How did you feel?
I like the opening too. I thought it was interesting. I wasn't sure. It took me a couple listens to really get the vibe of what Die Slow was trying to be, because he starts, talking in the middle of it, which threw me off. But actually understanding where he was coming from and the storytelling, I enjoyed. Stressed, one of my favorite songs on the album. J. Cole delivered a great verse, and the beat reminded me of like Praise the Lord from ASAP Rocky a few years ago, featuring Skepta. J. Cole is still in album mode, clearly, and he delivered great flow, great verse, great bridge. He was fire, and I love his little riff in the beginning of the song, where that was inspired by Lil J, Nuck If You Buck. Like, I love that flow and that energy. I'm like, okay, this is dope. T Shine kind of bombed the song for me a little bit. He was fine, but it wasn't as great as what J. Cole put up in the beginning. So I could have done without his presence. Stupid Asking, I thought it was great flow. I like the momentum that they kept up with the guitar, and I was really vibing on the first part of the song. The second part I didn't enjoy as much, but it was good enough. and I actually enjoyed Real Recognize Real with Gunna. I thought the acoustic guitar worked for me, and it seemed like after listening to the whole album, I realized like, okay, this is the direction that he's going with the idea of punk. Just throwing some guitar and a little bit of moodiness, and where now it's a punk project. Contagious, I enjoyed too.
Yeah. Going into Peeping Out the Window, I like that one. I like the subtle electric guitar in the background. I thought Future's hook was really great. Rich, N-word, blank, since we're a clean podcast.
RNS.
RNS, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I don't like that one though. The beat sounded like blown out to me. Like, you ever like break a speaker? That's what it sounded like. It sounded really sloppy and it was kind of hard on the ears.
Yeah.
Living It Up, I thought that was kind of simplistic. I thought it sounded kind of like a reach for the radio for me. Maybe it's just the Post Malone effect, but it wasn't like, it didn't really feel authentic to me. Yeah, that one was okay. I wasn't really a fan of the hook. I thought it was kind of repetitive. It was kind of like the body yaddy yaddy hook from Meg Thee Stallion. That I love Meg, but that hook gets on my nerves. It was kind of like that. Insure My Wrist, I like that one. I thought his flow works really well with the beat. I really like how the sample blends in with the beat as well. I thought Gunna was a good feature. I really enjoyed that track. How did you feel about that section of the album?
I think this is where the album kind of switches to more melodic rap and traditional trap in a lot of ways, which kind of threw me off because I really thought he was going to stay more experimental, but I decided to just kind of roll with it. Peeping Out the Window, I really enjoyed that feature with Future. He had a really infectious chorus and hook. B-Slime's verse was so forgettable. RNS, I actually liked, and I thought it was a solid posthumous, verse from Juice WRLD. And I think he did his song, his music justice. But I just didn't get the line in that song, chicken bok bok like a Mexican.
What?
It was like, at the end of Thug's chorus, he says, I make that chicken bok bok like a Mexican. I'm like, what?
I think Thug just be saying stuff sometimes, and like you don't really think too hard about it, but like it doesn't really always make sense.
Nah, I had to look up the lines, and when I saw it, I'm like, no, he actually did say chicken buck like a Mexican. What that means, Lord help me. I enjoyed Living It Up with Post Malone though. ASAP Rocky's verse could have been left off, and I thought Thugger could have delivered a bit more of a clear verse to make up for what, not make up, but to enhance what Post was doing on the hook, because I thought Post actually delivered a great hook, and I like that they went back to the guitar here. And that was one of my favorite songs on the project. I thought his flow in the beginning and that energy was like fire. I was bumping my head, like I like that flow that he had. Insure My Wrist I didn't like. I did not.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
I didn't like because they didn't have guitar. The piano was nice, but compared to Recognize Real, it just didn't do it for me.
Got you. Yeah, moving into Scoliosis, that was another song where it was kind of close but no cigar for me. I thought the mixing was kind of weird, and it causes the instrumental to not hit hard enough. Like, you know me, I love some horns, man. I always love some horns, but like it just wasn't. I think they were too far in the background to really be enjoyable, so it didn't really hit as hard. If you bring those up, I think that completely changes the song. I think Bubbly was dope. I think it's probably my favorite song on the album. I thought it was hard. I love the beat. There was a nice beat change towards the second half that really fit Drake well. I don't really have much to say on Road Rage, to be honest.
Before you go, I do want to mention about Bubbly. I think this song had a sense of urgency that was really engaging, and I really was wondering where this energy was on Certified Lover Boy, on the bad half of that album, because Drake bodied this verse. And I'm like, I think he actually bodied the song and delivered a better performance than everyone else on the song. And I'm like, with Drake, CLB was like last month. Were you just saving it? Thug had a bad verse on Certified Lover Boy, Way Too Sexy. And Drake did him one better by delivering a great verse.
Bad verse on a bad song. But I mean, that's neither here nor there.
But yeah, this song was really fire. I just wanted to mention that before you went on.
Yeah, it's one of the best songs on the album for me. Faces, I like that one. I like how the beat hits harder towards the end. I kind of wish that would have been the case for the whole track. It's still a likable song, but it kind of encapsulates like the album for me, where it's just like a couple tweaks here and there, and it would have been like a lot better. Dropping Jewels, I like that one a lot. I like the hook and how personal Thug gets. And then, Fifth Day Dead, I thought that was okay. How did you feel about that section of the album?
Yeah, I echo those sentiments on Scoliosis. It was fun, but Double O's ad libs on that song were really distracting during his verse. It was, I think he's onto something, but I don't think he's there yet with that like excessive ad libbing. Road Rage was definitely forgettable. Faces, I agree with that part in the beat. His flow is good, and I like the latter production. And Dropping Jewels are some of those same sentiments. Very personable. It wasn't the typical message that you deliver to kids, like save your money, stay in school, do your homework. He was like, hey, yeah, you might have to shoot somebody, so learn how to use this gun. And it was more street knowledge that he was.
It's very on brand.
Like, at least he's consistent. But there are, there are realities of being young, black, and rich that he was trying to impart on his kids, and them being the potential target for evil in the world. So, but then it gets weird because Thug, he does a lot of personable stuff, but then he gets into this like luxury rap ethos and mindset in some of his songs, which is fun, but it can get a bit repetitive, especially over 20 tracks. Fifth Day Dead, unique flow, and the beat was cool, and the song had a nice hook. But then you get into Icy Hot.
That song is terrible. It's objectively terrible. Man, I was hoping that wasn't gonna be another one of the ones where I was like, oh man, I hate the song, it's trash, and you're like, man, it's not. I'm glad I can sense it. I'm glad we're on the same page, because I would have had some serious questions if you would have enjoyed that.
Yeah, bro. Like, I feel like, so Doja, she compares having sex with her to Icy Hot, and that just threw me off. I'm like, I don't want that sensation on my body unless you're talking about like a sore neck. Like that just the idea of Ben Gay being on anywhere besides a sore area is not appealing at all. And so the song just conceptually fell flat for me. What didn't you like about this song?
The hook. Terrible. I mean, everything about it, honestly. Like, I know that's not the way that you want to go about discussing something on a podcast. You want to dive deep into, every nook and cranny of every song and really explain exactly why something is terrible, but it's just terrible. There's not really like any merit to like dissecting it, because there's nothing good about the song. It probably just shouldn't have happened, to be honest.
It's funny. I feel like that's become a theme with Doja Cat songs that we reviewed this year.
What were the other ones?
She had that song with Lil Nas X.
Trash. I remember it now. Yeah. Probably the worst song on that album too. Yeah, which is weird because I don't think Doja Cat's that bad, but like, her features for whatever reason recently haven't been doing it, and Young Thug is no different. But yeah, that's funny. I'm glad we're on the same page, man. I was worried about you. Love You More was a song that I really did not like when I first heard it. It grew on me a little bit. I think it actually ended up being one of the songs that I actually liked. I liked the piano. It really worked. It reminded me of the collab song that Young Thug did with Elton John a few years back that sampled an Elton John original song. So I enjoyed that one. Hate the Game. I like that one. I like the guitar. It was very 2000s pop rock. I enjoyed what Thug did on that.
Yeah.
And then closing it out with Day Before with Mac Miller. I like that one. I like the ukulele in the background. It was very interesting to hear that this track was recorded, I think, the day before Mac passed. So I think it might have been like one of the last songs he did, if not the last song that he did. So that's interesting. Not that it has anything to do with the subject matter, but it being called The Day Before, I think it's pretty eerie. But the song itself it's a cool song. I don't know if it's necessarily like a closer type of track, but it was a cool song in the midst of the track. It's not one of my favorites, but I like Max Charisma on there. How are you feeling about the close of Punk?
Yeah, Love You More. I thought the chorus was so, and it got a little stale towards the middle end of the song, but I love the grand piano in the background and some of the sentiments are nice. So it was an okay song for me. Hate the Game, another one of my favorite songs on this project. I love the introduction, the reintroduction of punk themes, as well as his flow was on point. And I think the song was perfect for what he was trying to embody with the aesthetic of this album. And I wish I would have heard more of this, a bit more of like actual traditional rock to some degree, to really balance the palette of what he did hip hop wise with the song. And finally, ending the song with Day Before, I really echo those sentiments of it, this not being really the closer. I think Hate the Game might have been a bit of a better closer, or maybe even Icy Hot. But
you need to take Icy Hot, move it from the middle of the album, take it to the end, and just let it just drop off. That's what needs to happen to Icy Hot.
Yeah, man, drop out that audio. But yeah, that's really eerie what you mentioned about the context of this song. But it was more luxury rap from Thug, and a cool verse from Miller. You know, rest in peace. And I like the the guitar ukulele like that you mentioned. And overall, yeah, that kind of closed the book on the project.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to find my favorite tracks. I don't know. It's not one of my favorite albums that we reviewed this year. So I'm gonna try to see. Actually, you go first. I might piggyback off of you and see if I can remember what my favorites are.
Yeah. So for me, it was pretty simple. I actually liked a decent amount of songs, and I had a hard time figuring out which were gonna be in my top. But I think Stress with J. Cole and T. Shine, despite T. Shine being there, the song was still fire to me. Um, yeah was dope. Bubbly with Drake and Travis Scott was dope, as well as Hate the Game. Those are my top four.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go Love You More,
Okay.
Bubbly, Insure My Wrist, and I'll go Stressed.
All right.
So if you had to recommend this to our listeners and they were asking what you thought about the Young Thug album, if they should listen to it, what's your recommendation?
I don't know how this compares to his other projects, but from my taste, I would have given it a 4 out of 5 and said highly recommended, because although it disappointed me in some ways, I think there's a lot to like about it. And I embrace guys that do some type of experimentation with sound and do something slightly different in the hip hop space to expand your palette a little bit. And I think this song could do a solid job of introducing you to other genres that lean a little bit more heavily on live instrumentation. So I would definitely recommend this project.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of this project. I've liked a lot of Young Thug's music before. I think he has a great deal of charisma. He has a very original sound, but I don't think this project does the best job of displaying that for me. I think there's way too many misses on here and too many close calls as far as something that could have been a really great song but didn't quite come together. So for me, I'm gonna have to say you're not missing much. That it doesn't really do it for me as a whole. So I guess if you're taking both of our recommendations into account, that would round out to give it a shot. So if you're a Young Thug fan and you enjoy his music, it doesn't hurt to give it a run through, see if you enjoy anything. If you've never heard of Young Thug or you aren't into trap music, maybe it's not the best recommendation for your introduction to trap. I'm sure there's better albums out there, but salute to Young Thug for releasing another project. I think we both found something that we enjoy on it overall, but I guess it's a mixed review from the Put You On Game podcast. But that will do it for our show. Thank you guys so much for joining us wherever you happen to be listening in from or watching. We truly appreciate your support. If you want to come through and support us some more, you can head to Apple Podcasts, hit us with a 5-star rating, like, share, and subscribe wherever you are. We truly appreciate it. Help us grow the show. And with that said, we are out. Enjoy your week.
Peace and love, everybody. Have a good time.